this week, Attorney General Janet Reno made her position clear. She stands behind the government's decision to send Elian Gonzalez back to his father in Cuba. But was it really the right decision? And is it necessarily the final word? Here to help us out are two immigration attorneys. Joining us from Washington is Jose Pertira, and here in our studio is Michael Wilds. Welcome to both of you. Michael, if I may, I'd like to start with you. Attorney General Janet Reno just reaffirmed her position. She said it really was the INS's decision to make and that it is a right one, that he should go home. Do you agree?
In theory, yes, and I do believe that she is trying to help what's in the best interest of the child. But I don't believe it's a legally sustainable decision, in as much as it's a unilateral decision of the executive arm of the United States government rather than a court, which have historically been relegated to deciding matters of custody and matters of deportation.
Well, Jose, you know, first we are told back in December that the INS agreed with that position and were prepared to actually send the case into the family courts in Florida. Then they reversed a decision, some people say on the advice of the State Department. So even the INS agreed with that position initially, right?
Well, the decision as it's made now, I think, is entirely correct within the law.
Yeah, but Jose, let me just ask you on that one point. At first, the INS said the case should be sent back to the family courts. Why?
I don't know why INS would want to send the case back to federal court, because the law is very clear that the issue here is who can really legally speak on behalf of this boy, and the only one who's legally authorized to do so is his biological father. The second cousin and the great uncle in Miami really can't even begin to compare in value to the word of the father here. And the father has told INS he wants to withdraw Elian's application for admission to the United States and application for asylum. Indeed, the application for asylum was improperly filed because it was filed without the proper authorization of the only person who can file it, which is the father.
I don't believe that that's historically been the case. Immigration has always deferred on matters of status to the state courts. Whether a person is deemed to be legally married or divorced has always been a matter of state policy, unless it abrogates a public policy. For example, a polygamist, that would be against public policy and it would go to a federal court.
Do you think, by the way, the INS decision to reverse itself and take it away from the family courts was a political decision?
Unfortunately, I do. I'm a former federal prosecutor. We see how people treat Haitians versus Cubans. The law responds to a political circumstance, and unfortunately, the State Department
be in a position to have to go in with federal U.S. Marshals and get the boy. And that is what Attorney General Reno is reluctant to do at this point. The family, I think, is well aware of this and is also well aware of the fact that once they go into federal court, they really stand very little chance of prevailing. However, time is on their side, because if they can delay these proceedings long enough for Congress to come back into session, then perhaps Congress can take the matter out of INS's hands by passing a private bill that would give the boy permanent residency in the United States and thereby put the case right back in the lap of the family court judge in Miami.
Very quickly, Michael, go ahead.
Excuse
me, Jose, one second.
I don't think anybody objects that a father and a son should be united, and this is a very humane, unfortunately dramatic experience that's going on. But this young man did not have his representative in Cuba when the father was being interviewed. We don't know what's in the best interest of the child until he has his day in court. His mother felt that the best interest of the child was on U.S. shores. Let's explore that, and if the appropriate thing then is to return him, we do that.
Okay, that's got to be the end of the discussion. Michael Wilds, Jose Pertira, I hope I pronounced that right.
You pronounced it perfectly.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much for coming. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
All right, coming up, thanks to viewers who care enough to drop a dime, America's Most Wanted has tracked down hundreds of suspected criminals, and today we're going to meet a couple from North Dakota who helped catch a man accused of murder. That coming up in just a moment.